Hey there, Grumpy Old Fart here. I'm doing an advanced Dungeons & Dragons advice video on excessive drama. I did a video last week titled Survivability. Go and check it out. The picture I've listed here is me with our dog Lothric, because he's our resident drama llama. He is the most dramatic dog you will ever meet in your life. Everything is drama with him. Holy crap. I figured it was appropriate for this one. So here we go. Whenever you create a character for a tabletop role-playing game, there are a number of factors to consider. As I said in that other video, survivability is a major concern. Other concerns include the setting, the political situation, socioeconomic factors, the tone of the game, situational circumstances, all manner. I mean, there's a lot of different concerns. Survivability is a major one, but there's some other questions you need to ask. Is your player character a slave? Does he start out as a slave? Is he a rich kid? Is he a poor kid? Is he a trained tradesman, a skilled tradesman? A blacksmith, an armorer, that kind of thing. A carpenter, a stonecutter, that kind of thing. Is he or she unskilled labor? Is he or she a military veteran, a farmer, a learned scholar? Any and all of these can help shape how you create your player character and how the world has molded their outlook on life. So all of those are factors in creating your character. I have always said that perfect characters are no fun to run because a character with no flaws has no character. That being said, creating a player character that fits into the Dungeon Master's world is essential. A character from Scooby-Doo, for example, would be grossly out of place in a world similar to Robert E. Howard's Conan the Barbarian, which a lot of my world, most of my campaigns are based in the Conan the Barbarian type of setting, but there's more monsters, there's more mayhem, a little less structure, as it were. Conan was a barbarian traveling in a semi-civilized world. My world is a little more civilized and a little less barbaric, but it's very similar, is all I'm saying. All right, a character suitable for the court of Camelot might not fit well in George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones. That's another way of looking at it. Both are great, but creating a suitable character for the world is important, and you want to make the most effective character you can for the situation. All of the factors I mentioned above are important considerations. Now, on to the topic of this video. One of the most annoying things a player can do from the standpoint of a dungeon master or any game master in any game is to saddle useless, complicated, ridiculous, or otherwise stupid aspects into a character that they have created to use in an otherwise serious game. Examples include, here we go. I want to run a 5-year-old kid in your game, where the orcs are ravaging the countryside and rampaging everywhere and the civilians are fleeing the area. Yeah, a 5-year-old kid's going to fit well into that. I want to run a blind wizard. Oh, Jesus, that one was ridiculous. I want to run a wizard with no arms who has to use telekinesis to move things. Where do they come up with this shit, honestly? I want to run a chaotic neutral homicidal maniac in the king's court. I want to run a half-orc cannibal in your world where the player characters are trying to save an orphanage. I want to run an illiterate mute cleric with gender dysphoria and narcolepsy. Yeah, that was real. Okay. This is one of my favorites. I want to run 6 characters, all of different and diametrically diverse alignments, all with various degrees of insanity, and 2 of them will be house cats. Yeah, house cats. In Conan. Yeah, in a Conan type world. I want to run a character who can jump and do flips like Xena. That one was one of my favorites. Oh my god. The laws of physics apply, people. I'm just saying. I want to run a fighter who is a frog. I want to run a spy who's a triple agent and who has gadgets like James Bond, all based in magic, of course, but he's only 4 years old. Yeah, in Dungeons and Dragons, he wanted to run that. I want to run a defenseless baby white dragon. I want to run a 5-year-old little girl with pyrokinesis like Firestarter. Ay, 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 ay. I want to run the king of the land, but he's a polygamist whorebanger with 1,000 concubines. I want to run an undead magpie. All these are real. They actually happened, people. These were what my players wanted to run in my game. An undead magpie. For those of you who don't know, a magpie is a bird. I want to run a newborn wolf pup. A newborn dire wolf pup. I want to run a drug-addicted alcoholic with multiple personalities. I want to run a pathological liar. I want to run... Somebody actually said this about 8 years ago. Somebody wanted to run a K-pop star. At the time, I didn't know what K-pop was. So, One of my absolute favorites was a guy who saw how another character was using martial arts in the game because I had an Oriental character. This happened about 30 years ago. This guy was running martial arts in a game, and another player saw how effective the martial arts were. He wanted to learn. And I said, okay, well, your character is in the Orient. You can find a martial arts teacher. You go through the martial arts, pick a martial art that you want to learn, and we'll get you on that road. Okay, no problem. He picked the most peaceful, almost useless martial art imaginable, and then got upset that his character didn't have multiple attacks and didn't have all the neat armor class and all these other abilities. And I explained to him, this martial art is designed completely defensive. It's not designed it's designed for show. It's not designed for combat. It's what they use in theater productions. And he said, oh, but it looks neat. It's got a neat name. I want to try it. I said, okay, fine, but you understand it's not going to be effective in combat. And he goes, oh, I'll make it. Okay, he'll make it effective. Yeah, well, there you go. And then he complained that it wasn't effective in combat. I shit you not. That actually happened. Each and every one of these was set to me by people wanting to play in my game, which I based very similarly, as I said, to the world of Conan the Barbarian. They knew this, and yet they still proposed these characters. And the really sad part was that they were stone cold serious. They were not joking. They actually wanted to run these characters in that game. The people who got to play little kids made them drama queens, of course, and they sniveling little shits who they weren't effective. They had no value to the group. The group had to protect them. They were an anchor to people trying to fly. The Firestarter clone burst into tears whenever she had to fight, and this was an adult male that played this character. Whenever she had to fight, okay, she burst into tears because she would have hurt nobody. The player characters had to kill the half-orc when orphans started disappearing. The acrobatic Xena became a pincushion for 100 arrows. They couldn't catch her physically, so they just started shooting her with arrows, which is logical, The blind wizard incinerated most of the party with a fireball. The pathological liar got 3, and by the way, killed himself in the process. The pathological liar got 3 player characters killed and was then hacked to death by the rest of the party. The baby white dragon was the most effective one because they sold the character to an alchemist, and the entire party got so much money for it that they bought magical gear. The narcoleptic cleric was left behind in a dungeon somewhere because nobody wanted to wake him up because he was useless. The wizard with no arms couldn't cast any spells with semantic gestures and died quickly. And again, most of these were proposed by adult males. This isn't a sexist trope. These were proposed by dudes. I drew the line with the 6 player characters. The 6 player characters run by one person. The king, because that was just ridiculous. I couldn't get him. Why would anybody want to leave a castle if you're a king with multiple wives and 1,000 concubines? Why in the fuck would you leave? It was stupid. The 4-year-old James Bond clone, I couldn't allow that. Because, one, the gear was ridiculously expensive. A first-level character couldn't possibly have that. It was just too much. I had to draw the line at those. If your player characters if your players, I should say, try to do stupid shit like this, my advice to you is to put the immediate kibosh on it. Don't even let them try. Don't even let them try. Otherwise, these drama queens will either derail your campaign or bitch and moan that their character isn't being allowed to develop as they wish. Oh my God, you're not letting me roleplay my character. My response was, of course, your character's a fucking worthless clown. Now, I hate to say it, but sometimes you have to take that tact. A character who's a little off the beaten path, or an original character that wants to do different things, amen, knock yourself out. I'm okay with that. But characters that are designed to derail your campaign, or designed to be useless, or designed to be worthless to the group, designed to be detriments. I mean, come on, people. You want your character to be effective. You want your character to survive. The whole point of this is you want to play a character in a fantasy game where you can become powerful, you can grow as a character. Character development is important. But when you start out with a 4-year-old sniveling, whining, useless lump, what's the point? Honestly, what is the point? Because you're bringing everybody else down on top of it. Jesus Christ. A character who is an alcoholic. Amen. Okay, that's a problem he has to overcome. You can work that out in a character who is evil and is trying a redemption arc. Amen. I'm all for that. But some of these were just ridiculous. Okay, and if your players try to do that in your game, put the kibosh on it quick. Trust me, you'll thank me for that later. I hope this finds everybody well. You folks have a good one. God bless one and all.